The recent announcement by the Federal Reserve regarding interest rate cuts in 2024, 3 cuts totaling a federal funds rate of 4.6%, has sent markets into a tailspin, with long-term bond yields and mortgage rates falling sharply and the stock market soaring. This has caught the economy and the real estate sector completely off guard. Despite the current excitement surrounding Federal Reserve interest rate cuts, many people overlook a crucial fact. These cuts typically don't positively impact the economy. In fact, history shows us that every time the Federal Reserve has cut interest rates over the last 70 years, it has resulted in a significant increase in the unemployment rate. While some may believe that these cuts will stimulate economic growth, the truth is that they can often lead to detrimental consequences. So why do interest rate cuts tend to result in higher unemployment rates? The answer lies in the intricate relationship between the cost of borrowing money and job creation. When interest rates are lowered, borrowing becomes cheaper, incentivizing businesses to take out loans. However, this also means that workers may be laid off if companies feel they need to cut costs to compensate for increased borrowing expenses. Can you believe it has been over a decade since the Federal Reserve announced its interest rate cut in September 2007? That was about 1 month after they began the new cycle of cutting interest rates. It caused a wave of euphoria throughout the stock market, leading to some impressive results. Looking back at news articles from that time, it's clear just how significant the news was. On September 18, 2007, reports flooded about a stock surge after the Federal Reserve's announcement. The Dow Jones Industrial shot up by 2.5%, while the S&P gained an impressive 3%. Even the Russell 2000 gained an impressive 4%. Investors felt reassured after hearing about the interest rate cuts. This move meant the central bank was ready to do what it took to maintain liquidity and protect the economy from a recession. Please take 2 seconds to help me out and hit the like and subscribe if you're enjoying the video so far. Each like and subscribe helps support this channel and keep us motivated to keep making you great content. Thank you. Now back to what I was saying. It seems like people were worried about the same things in September 2007 as they are now. This realization might give you a bit of a fright. Many individuals were experiencing a sense of déjà vu as they contemplated the same concerns we're grappling with today. In fact, the current state of our financial market is eerily reminiscent of a time not too long ago, around 15 to 16 years ago precisely, when there was a prevailing sense of delusion in the air 1 year prior to a disastrous economic collapse. At that time, people thought the markets were stable and nothing could go wrong. Unfortunately, history proved otherwise. After that economic downturn, the unemployment rate spiked and iconic financial institutions like Lehman Brothers collapsed. Only then did many of us finally realize the gravity of the situation. Now, I'm not trying to say that history is guaranteed to repeat itself. However, it's essential to take a good hard look at the current reality of our financial markets and make informed decisions accordingly. Looking at the current state of the economy, it's hard to say whether we'll have a soft landing in 2024 or not. While there's a possibility that stocks and home prices will continue to rise, the data doesn't completely support it. In fact, it seems highly unlikely given the trends we've observed in recent years. One major concern is the savings rate of U.S. consumers, which has reached an all-time low of 3.8%. This means that people are hardly saving anything right now, so they're stretched to the limit. They can barely afford to meet their monthly expenses, let alone endure an economic downturn. Furthermore, the debt levels in the economy have reached unprecedented heights. The total debt in America has reached a staggering $73 trillion, which has doubled in the last decade alone. That's a whopping 265% of the GDP, a level never seen before in our country. No matter how many times the Federal Reserve decides to lower interest rates next year, whether 3 or 6 times, it's unlikely to make much of a positive difference in the grand scheme. This is because individuals and businesses alike will still be refinancing their debt at higher rates than before. Unfortunately, these higher borrowing costs will slowly but surely squeeze out economic activity within the country over time. As interest rates continue to rise, so too will the cost of borrowing. This will significantly impact both businesses and consumers, who will have to pay more in interest fees. Over time, this could lead to decreased spending and investment, which could, in turn, damage the economy's overall health. Federal Reserve's decision to lower interest rates is not made in isolation. There are a number of factors that go into this decision, including inflation rates, global economic conditions, and domestic growth. As such, it's difficult to say whether the Federal Reserve will choose to lower rates next year. Have you been keeping tabs on the Federal Reserve's policy on interest rates? It's been quite a roller coaster ride, with rates plummeting to near zero in February 2022 and then skyrocketing to an unprecedented 5.3% in August 2023. But even more interesting is that the Federal Reserve has held on to this rate ever since. In fact, they've even hinted at further cuts shortly. So what does this mean for us? Interest rates significantly impact the economy, affecting everything from mortgages and loans to businesses and investments. A high interest rate can cause a slowdown in spending, which can result in an economic recession, while a low rate can jumpstart growth. It's becoming more likely that the Federal Reserve will cut short-term interest rates. The Federal Reserve is currently projecting the rate to be around 4.6%, but the betting markets seem to think it'll be closer to 3.8%. Regardless of the exact figure, what's certain is that short-term interest rates will be much higher than the near-zero range we've seen for the past few years. While the uptick in interest rates will be welcome news for savers, it may cause some anxiety for businesses and individuals carrying a lot of debt. Although the rates aren't as high as they were in the 1980s, they're still relatively high compared to the current state of the economy. So what does this mean for the average person? Well, it's possible that borrowing money may become more expensive, particularly for those with variable rate loans. On the other hand, it may make saving money more lucrative, as we could see higher returns on savings accounts and other interest-bearing accounts. Interest rates are still well above the long-term average, with rates in 2024 projected to be higher than the average seen over the past 35 years. This means that interest rates may remain high, even if they're not reaching the levels we saw decades ago. It's becoming increasingly difficult to keep up with the cost of living, which can have a big impact on the economy. If prices continue to rise, it can lead to restrictions on economic activity, which can be concerning for many people. On top of this, there is a lot of uncertainty about what's going to happen with the housing market. It's no secret that the Federal Reserve announced plans to cut interest rates. This has left a lot of people wondering what impact this would have on the housing market. However, there is some positive news in all of this. The Federal Reserve cutting interest rates means that mortgage rates will also likely go down. We can see that mortgage rates have dropped substantially, with reports showing a 30-year fixed rate dropping almost 2% in just a couple of months. According to the latest update from Mortgage News Daily, we're experiencing one of the biggest drops in mortgage rates in decades. As a result, these rates have plummeted to the mid-6% range. This news has caught the attention of many individuals in the housing market who are excited about this opportunity. You may have already noticed lots of buzz on social media platforms, particularly on Instagram. Realtors are going nuts, and it's easy to see why. They're taking to their profiles to express their enthusiasm and encourage potential home buyers to take action. Some of them claim that mortgage rates have now dropped to as low as 6.6%, which is a significant drop and can substantially impact a home buyer's budget. Did you know that the decrease in mortgage rates to 6.6% or even 6% does not necessarily mean buying a house has become more affordable? It might not make much of a difference as one might think. For example, if the mortgage rates drop to 5.7% by the end of 2024, it might not significantly affect the affordability of homes. The reason is that a mere drop in mortgage rates does not directly translate to lower house prices, which would make homes more affordable. Although lower interest rates on mortgages can certainly ease the burden of getting into a mortgage agreement, it doesn't necessarily equate to a more affordable mortgage payment. Factors like the overall economic climate, inflation rates, and the supply and demand of houses in the market are crucial in determining house prices and affordability. So even though lower mortgage rates might seem like a desirable prospect, they might not always bring significant relief to home buyers. Many people are feeling the pinch regarding the cost of housing. The issue we're seeing is that even though we're already pretty far into the housing downturn, around 4 or 5 months to be exact, the affordability of monthly payments is only returning to what it was back in August or September of 2022. Now, what does this mean for you? Well, it means you are still looking at monthly payments that are about 80% higher than before the pandemic hit. That's a pretty hefty increase, especially when considering the relative state of income. So, what's the solution? Unfortunately, that's a bit of a trickier question. It's not an easy problem to fix, and it'll likely require additional changes to the housing market to make things more affordable for everyone. But for now, it's crucial to stay informed and aware of the situation and be prepared for the cost of owning or renting a home in these uncertain times. Thanks for watching, and please make sure you subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Be sure to leave a comment below letting me know how many of you still find the housing market affordable and in which regions.